Alright, so this thing evidently got busted in shipping, because that wasn't in the picture of the listing. The button's jammed down into there, and you can tell it's not quite seated correctly because it's got a big gap there. So let's see if we can't fix that part. Also, the CD door won't open and close. Okay, when taking the lid off, I noticed one of the screws just spun indefinitely. It wouldn't grip to anything, and this is why. This piece is broken off in transit, or throughout the years it's come off for one reason or another. Anyway, got to look at the other end of that, which is on the lid. Now normally that clip right there, that metal part, that is actually on the base, and then the lid, when it comes off, that shouldn't be there. So we're gonna have to take some pliers to that, hold it, and then unscrew the screw that's stuck in there. All right, the screw's out, so it should be a lot easier to put that case back on and it not fit crooked. Now, one of the other problems I have is, I guess when it was shipped to me through the mail, it was damaged and broke some of the plastic. So we're going to have to do some welding of the plastic from the underside, see if we can get that where it'll stay together. All right, this is the side that took the hit, and I was able to tweak it back into place. This part broke completely off, so this centerpiece is actually out, and I was able to wedge it back in there. And then when I did that, I was able to straighten it from the backside, so this is level. I can tell by that word input that the letters are kind of lined up now. So I'm gonna try to melt it a little bit from the backside and get it to hold together. Okay, and you can see the two break points. I put a little bit of Sharpie mark right there and there. Make it easier to see on the camera, but that's where it's broken at. We're gonna have to melt it in that two places. And then along this area right here, that goes along as well. So we're gonna attempt that now. Doesn't take much when it's hot. My hands are shaky, I know. That doesn't look good, but you know, it shouldn't be visible when the case is back on. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated area, because it does smell bad. It's a little piece of copper from some electrical wire. I'm going to try to melt that into the case. All right. There's the crack line right here. All right, looks like it's melted back together now. All right, this is the door on the the compartment for the CD, where the CD goes on the bottom side, obviously. But this is the spring. There's one on each side, and that's what attaches to that door that flips up. This one's very crooked. It looks like it's out of its little slot on the other side. So we're gonna straighten that up. That way the door can open and close again. This bit here, this what moves when you press the button. It's a hook that goes like that. You gotta make sure that's not broken off. If it is, you got to melt some plastic on there to make you a hook again, or get you a replacement, which is kind of hard to do these days. Okay, back on the radio. This bugs me here that this is so yellow. This type of plastic, it yellows in direct sunlight. So this was probably sitting on a table that got sunlight every day for years and years. And if you move the switch, you can see what color it used to be under there. I'm gonna clean that up with some alcohol as best I can, but that's not gonna change it back color-wise. What you can do is you can do some retro brighting on that, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube how to do that. Also, if you're getting any kind of static on your buttons, you might have to spray some deoxit down into there, which is like some contact cleaner, electronics contact cleaner, and that'll usually solve that problem, and these things just pop right off. Real easy to do. Same thing with the sliders. Now these potentiometers that are sliders, you might have to spray some deoxit down in there if you're getting some static, or if you're getting where it'll slide halfway over, then the audio completely stops, and then you go a little further and it pops back on and it's really loud or something. That's just a sign that potentiometer needs some cleaning in there. It's got some oxidation going on. So get you a can of sprayed deoxit brand, or whatever brand you're able to get in your area, and that might clear that up. All right, if everything works on your unit except the CD player, which is common for these old radios, the first thing I would try is cleaning that laser off. Get you a nice soft cloth and try to get any dirt and debris off of that laser. And I'll have to move the camera around, but there's some rails that it slides on that you might need to take some isopropyl alcohol and clean those rails off to get the old grease that is hardened, and then clean those off really good before that thing can it's supposed to move back and forth when these wheels turn. You can do an inspection on your gears to make sure right here that these gears are not stripped and the teeth are all still on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. It's not that hard to service, and this little piece comes out if you need to get to the underside where those rails are. Another thing on these units that fail, that they're fairly easy to replace in most areas of the motherboards, but these little cylinder type deals on the older ones. On their newer ones, they look more like a round can that doesn't sit up as high. Those are SMD versions of these capacitors. But you can get a box. I'll swing around in a minute and show you mine, but there's the ability to get these things really cheap. I got a box of 630 with the various values, and I'll swing over so you can see that, for $9 on Amazon. So they're real easy to get cheaply, and just make sure you're replacing capacitor with the right value, how many microfarads or picofarads it is, and the voltage, and make sure you're within the range of what that thing is actually calling for. Desolder them and then put new ones on. That'll fix the CD player when it doesn't do anything at all as well. And while you've got this thing open, this is a good time to clean the two little clear plastic windows. Now this one on this side has come loose. It's normally held in place by some adhesive. You can see here. That one's still in place, so I'm gonna have to re-glue this one. But those are hard to get to when you need to clean the inside of that window when the thing's all put together. So take this opportunity to clean that while you got it open. And while I was cleaning it, I noticed this part is broken as well. So I'm gonna do some plastic welding right there on the end to hold that in place. There you go. Using the same stuff I do on my glasses for this plastic bit, and a microfiber cloth. All right, cleaning that side. going to press too hard on that area. That's the broken area that we just fixed. The button that goes there and there are actually still stuck on the radio. All right, even with alcohol, that's not coming off. That's actually the discoloration of the plastic. But at least the rails will be clean, and I'll come back and do a retro bright on just this bit of plastic right here eventually. There's plenty of videos on how to do that on the internet, by the way. Several different methods. I don't know which one I'll choose for this one, but we'll get that eventually. And microfiber on the laser. All right, got the lens cleaned off there. We'll have to inspect the rails and stuff a little bit later. All right, when you go to take it apart, there's screw points here, on the side here, and that goes into that metal clip like you saw earlier that we had to remove on the other side. And there's another one on the other side of this one, but it's broke off. So that one's not going to be supporting the screw in the future. So I'll have this thing held on with 3 screws instead of 4, but that's where you need to unscrew it to take it off. Now this point right here is where the antenna screws in, and it's got a different screw, so make sure you don't mix them up and put them in the wrong spot. Also, these are different type screws than the 2 side ones, since this goes into metal and this goes into plastic. And so you don't gouge a new set of threads on the inside of that. It's best to go counterclockwise on the screw until you feel it fall into that slot that's already there, then start screwing it on clockwise. And then you'll just use the same grooves that are in there. If you keep taking it off and on and putting a new groove into the plastic each time, you're gonna rasp it out eventually. Now I haven't taken this one apart yet, but right there, you'll see right above that white gear is right there is one of the rails out of the 2 that need to be cleaned off so that that CD laser can move back and forth freely without obstruction of that old solidified grease that's on there. I'm going to put this thing back together and try to see what it'll do with what I've got so far. And might make a second video on the teardown and the replacements of all the capacitors are getting replaced. And I'm going to re-lube that rail set and deoxit all the potentiometers and the buttons. So that's for a later video, but this is a simple quick look and teardown so we can see what we got on this thing. Okay, I've got the top cleaned off, got it back together. I still need to clean off the main portion of the radio, it's still dirty. Just got this thing today. So what I didn't show was the little spring. I mentioned it, but I didn't show it. But you got to make sure that thing's in there straight. Now this one, even though I've straightened it, it keeps coming back out. Well, let's try a CD in it now that it looked like the laser was also stuck. So once I moved the gear manual a little bit, it came unstuck, which tells me that grease needs to be taken completely off that rail. And I lightly did it with alcohol, but I need to go back and take the CD assembly out and do it properly and then re-grease that thing. But this part is now welded from the inside, so it looks a little better. And also my buttons aren't jammed in there. So let's give it a whirl.
Collaborating with grantees and partners in the arts, school leadership, and youth development. More at one.
All right, got a CD in there. And I do see this display goes off and this one comes on when you do the CD. Hey, and the CD works. Next track. It's good to go a few tracks in, that way you know that laser's moving. Track 3. 4. So yeah, looks like I'll go to 9. Boy, this thing's got some bass. Now, you probably can't tell it in this video, but standing here in front of it, I can actually feel it. That's what I got so far. More to come. All right, this has just been a quick look at the Bose Acoustic Wave CD-2000. And so far, so good. We're going to do a complete teardown of this thing and replace all the capacitors, lube both slide rails, do a few other little things while we're in there, make sure everything's good. But overall, just the quick down and dirty repair got it going, and the CD works now. So that's a plus, because it didn't when I first got it. In fact, the door wouldn't even close. Wouldn't spin, and it also seemed to be stuck. The slides were gummed up pretty bad. All right, until next time.